you still spend like they're watching. Even alone, some part of you feels observed, measured, and quietly judged. Maybe the numbers changed years ago, but the emotional rules around money still sound like home inside you. So a purchase can trigger guilt, not because it is dangerous, but because your body learned money means tension. You hesitate over small things, then feel ridiculous afterward because the reaction seems bigger than the actual price. By the end, that pattern softens. You will see it less as weakness and more as inheritance. Families teach money without lectures. A sigh at checkout, a whispered argument, a worried silence can become your financial language. That is the first insight. You may be reacting to old household emotions, not just present-day dollars. Which explains something confusing. Why earning more sometimes calmed you briefly, yet never fully changes how spending feels. The mind loves familiar rules. Even painful ones can feel safer than freedom simply because they were repeated early. So you keep managing money, not only with math, but with loyalty to the emotional climate that raised you. Maybe you open a menu first, not to choose what sounds good, but to find what feels acceptable. Maybe you stand in a store, holding something useful, already hearing an invisible voice asking if you really need it. Maybe a delivery arrives at home, and your first instinct is not excitement, but hiding the box somehow. Maybe payday comes with relief. Then minutes later, a strange heaviness returns before you have spent anything. That heaviness matters. It often means money became linked with pressure long before it became linked with possibility. Some families treated every expense like risk. Others used spending to prove love, status, normalcy, or momentary escape. Either way, money stopped feeling neutral. It became emotional weather, and children always learn how to dress for weather. So adulthood can feel strangely split. One part of you earns, while another part still waits for permission. That is why self-talk gets sharp. You are not only making choices, you are trying not to repeat history. Or sometimes you are repeating it exactly, because repetition can feel safer than writing a completely different story. If your home praised sacrifice, enjoying money may still feel selfish, even when nobody around you is deprived. If your home feared embarrassment, spending visibly may still feel reckless even when the amount is manageable. If your home measured worth by struggle, ease itself may feel suspicious, almost like cheating some moral test. So guilt is not always about the item. It is often about what the item represents inside you. Comfort can feel excessive. Pleasure can feel irresponsible. Rest can feel undeserved when money was tied to proving goodness. Think about the grocery aisle. You compare 3 nearly identical options, but the real debate is never prices alone. It is identity underneath. Good child or careless child, safe person or risky person, responsible adult or disappointment. That is why tiny purchases can feel huge. They activate old roles, not just current budgets. And old roles are powerful. Children keep them because belonging matters more than freedom at first. A child quickly notices everything. Who panics about bills, who mocks rich people, who apologizes for wanting more. You may remember the exact words, or only the atmosphere, which is often what shapes the nervous system most. Maybe the lights stayed on, yet worry-filled rooms. Maybe there was enough money, but never enough calm. That difference changes everything. Scarcity is not only lack of dollars, it is repeated exposure to alarm. When alarm surrounds money, your body stops treating it like a tool. It starts treating it like threat. So later, you may overcheck accounts, or avoid checking entirely because both habits try to manage fear. One says, stay hyper-aware. The other says, if I do not look, I can postpone the feeling. Both make sense emotionally. Neither means you are broken, only that your system learned protection before perspective. The same pattern can shape generosity too. Some people overgive because keeping feels dangerous, selfish, or emotionally lonely. Others cling tightly to every cushion, not from greed, but from a memory that safety disappeared faster than expected. And some swing between both, restricting hard, then spending suddenly because pressure eventually demands some form of release. That swing often feels irrational, but it usually follows an old rhythm your family taught without knowing. Maybe saving was praised only when it looked severe. Maybe spending was allowed only after guilt made it painful. So balance never became familiar. Extremes did, and adulthood often repeats whatever once felt emotionally legible. You can hear this in ordinary phrases. We can't waste money. Nice things are for other people. Be grateful. None of those lines sound dramatic, yet repeated enough, they can quietly train what you allow yourself to feel. Especially if wants were treated carefully, not explored, not discussed, but trimmed down before they became inconvenient. Then you grow into someone careful with desire, not because you have no wants, but because wanting feels expensive. This shows up in strange moments. You finally can afford something, yet still search for a reason not to. You call it being practical. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it is old shame wearing responsible clothes. That is the deeper pattern. Many money habits are actually emotional habits disguised as character traits. Being the reasonable one can hide fear. Being the generous one can hide guilt. Being low maintenance can hide self-erasure. Even ambition can carry old family energy. Earning more may become a way to outrun vulnerability, not enjoy life. Then success feels oddly thin because the nervous system keeps moving the finish line whenever safety remains emotional, not numerical. You may recognize this at night. The house is quiet, but your mind still tallies worst-case scenarios. Nothing urgent happened today. Still, some part of you scans for future trouble before it can arrive. That scanning was learned somewhere, usually where money meant uncertainty, unpredictability, criticism, or sudden shifts in mood. Children become excellent forecasters in those homes. They study tone, timing, footsteps, and what a receipt might trigger. Later, that vigilance follows them into jobs, relationships, purchases, and even peaceful moments that should feel simple. So when a partner asks one money question, your reaction may sound larger than the conversation in front of you, because the body is answering history. Not just the sentence, but every sentence that ever sounded like it. Pause here for a moment. What money sentence from childhood still echoes when you spend or save now? If one comes to mind, share below. Seeing it written may help you, and someone else feel less alone. Sometimes the phrase is obvious. Sometimes it hides inside body language, like apologizing before buying socks or replacing something broken. Notice what your version says, then keep going, because the belief underneath it is usually even more revealing. Often the hidden belief is simple. If I relax, something bad will happen. If I enjoy, someone pays. Or this one feels familiar. If I need less, I am safer. If I want more, I disappoint. These beliefs are powerful because they once worked. They helped you stay connected, protected, or less noticeable in your home. But survival beliefs do not retire automatically. They keep running long after the original conditions are gone. That is why adult money choices feel confusing. Your calendar says present, while your reactions still answer the past. And the past rarely leaves politely. It stays through tone, urgency, guilt, and the stories attached to enough. For some families, enough meant survival. For others, enough meant not attracting attention, envy, conflict, or accusations of selfishness. So even abundance can feel complicated. More money can solve problems, while also activating loyalty conflicts you never named. Part of you wants ease. Another part wonders whether ease would separate you from the people who shaped you. This is especially common when identity changed. New job, different neighborhood, different habits, same old discomfort underneath success. You can look stable outside, yet inside, buying decent sheets or booking a restful weekend may feel emotionally loaded. Not because the choice is wrong, because it challenges the family script about what someone like you is allowed. And family scripts run deep. They answer questions about class, worth, belonging, morality, and who gets to exhale. Some people inherited fear of falling behind. Others inherited fear of standing out. Both can distort money in opposite ways. One pushes constant striving. The other pushes shrinking, apologizing, or staying smaller than your real life requires. Neither pattern's random. Each once protected connection inside a system where money carried emotional consequences. That is why comparison hits hard. It is not only jealousy, it can awaken grief, shame, or disorientation. You are not just seeing someone else spend. You're seeing new rules and realizing yours were never universal. Understanding does not erase emotion overnight, but it changes the posture you bring to it. Instead of saying, "Why am I like this?" you begin asking, "Whose fear is this, and when did I learn?" Not perfect distance either, just one breath between the feeling and the old conclusion that always used to follow. In that breath, guilt becomes information. Anxiety becomes a memory signal. Urgency becomes something to get curious about. You stop making every feeling a verdict. Sometimes it is simply an echo, not a command. That shift is quiet but important. It turns money from a moral test back into a human experience. A human experience shaped by family, yes, but not permanently owned by family or limited by it. You can understand your parents' stress without turning their relationship with money into your permanent identity. You can even notice gratitude differently, not as self-denial, but as enough safety to tell the truth about needs. Maybe that truth sounds small at first. I want to stop apologizing for replacing worn-out things. Maybe it sounds even softer. I want spending on comfort to stop feeling like evidence against my character. Those are powerful shifts because they move you from punishment towards self-recognition, which is where change actually begins. A useful question can help here. When money feelings rise, ask, what is this protecting me from feeling? Answer might be rejection, or chaos, judgment, and be helplessness, conflict, or becoming the person your family resented. Once you see the protection, compassion gets easier. Patterns soften faster when they are understood, not insulted. That matters because shame keeps family rules alive. It makes you grip harder, hide more, and question yourself constantly. Understanding does the opposite. It lets you notice the old tape playing without handing it complete control. And control was never the real need. Safety was. Belonging was. Permission to exhale was underneath it all. So the gentlest next step is not perfection. It is learning to separate current reality from inherited emotional noise. Sometimes that means pausing before self-criticism hardens. Sometimes it means naming the feeling before letting it write identity. I am feeling guilt is different from saying I am irresponsible, selfish, doomed, or always bad with money. That language shift sounds small, but it teaches your mind that emotions can visit without becoming definitions. Over time, the family imprint gets clearer. Not stronger, just more visible, which makes it easier to question. And what becomes visible can change, slowly, kindly, without betraying where you came from or who you love. Because changing your money story is not rejection, it is often the first time you relate to it consciously. If this understanding brought relief, stay close, subscribe, and turn on the bell for more calm, honest money psychology. There is nothing weak about your pattern. It was learned in real rooms, around real voices, for real reasons. And there is nothing trivial about understanding it. Insight is often the moment old fear stops feeling like truth. So be gentle with yourself tonight, especially in the small choices where old rules still try to sound absolute. You are not failing at money. You are untangling family emotion from everyday decisions, one honest moment at a time. What shaped you can soften now, and the life ahead does not have to feel like the life behind.